This episode of the BJJ Campaign Podcast is brought to you by Speed Pro East Bay in Alameda, California, in the heart of the San Francisco Bay Area. They're the source for premium visual solutions to spruce up your interior space. From window decals and wall murals to conference room graphics and directional signage, create a work environment that is tailored to your brand. They'll not only print your custom graphics, but do installation as well. Visit eastbayspeedpro.com. That's EastbaySpeedPro.com. And mention the BJJ Campaign Podcast for 15% off your first order. Also, Eddie is a Jiu-Jitsu guy, so folks go out there and support him.
I'm about to feed him to the sharks right now. Get him hype right now. Yeah. You know the ground is up. Yeah. Everybody that trains, you know the game. Yeah. So let's get it. Slap it up, bump it, and roll. Hey. Yeah, that's the way that it goes. Ain't no better way to better yourself in this game. You're feeling the growth. That's time on the mat. We put in the work. Believe it ain't easy, I know. But we train for the love of the game, the love of the art. Now slap it up, bump it, let's roll.
Welcome to episode 59 of the BJJ Campaign Podcast. My name is Jeff Boone. I'm an A3 blue belt, 3 stripes.
Phil Kors, A2, blue belt, 2 stripes.
Luke Amos, A2, brown belt, 4 stripes.
Luke, thanks for coming on today. We appreciate having you. Just for the audience, Luke is one of our brown belts. He's one of the instructors as well, teaches class, and also he has kind of a unique upbringing and a long history with Jiu-Jitsu. Tell us a little bit, Luke, how you got started and when and where.
Yeah, in 2004, I started with the Yamasaki Academy in Northern Virginia, DC area. And a friend of mine had been training with the Royce Gracie School there in Scranton, Pennsylvania. He had been telling me for a couple of years, like, hey, man, go check this out. And he showed me the UFC videos. And I thought it was cool, but I'm just like, martial arts are corny. Like, I don't know. That's just kind of how I grew up, you know? And, but finally, like, he kept pestering me and he was like, oh, you know, he's showing me these moves and whatnot. I'm like, this is kind of cool. So, and, I just graduated college the year before and I was like wanting to get back into some competition. I played college basketball and stuff. And, I just, you know, wanted to get into some kind of competition. So I'm like, I'll check this out. And I went to my first class and absolutely loved it. Had some good instructors there and some really good teammates, which, you know, you guys know is when you have good teammates and good people in a school, you know, you're going to be locked in. It's a lot more than just, you know, just more than the martial art or whatever it might be that you're doing. So that was definitely cool. And shoot, at the time, I think they're only offering classes like 3 days a week, something like that at first. Unless I wanted to travel in like Northern Virginia is a mess. So like if I wanted to travel like an hour, I could go to one of the other schools, but this school that I was near was only open like 3 days a week. And then we finally expanded out and had like regular classes.
And an hour on the Beltway might be 5 miles. Oh my gosh.
Oh, it's a disaster. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you're absolutely correct. That's that's honestly why we moved here later, but yeah. But yeah, so, you know, I started competing and just, man, I was training as much as I possibly could. I didn't have, much as I could. I didn't have any kids at the time. So, you know, it was a blast just training and working. You know, I was a teacher at the time, just training and working. That's it. That's all I did. So, yeah, I was never, you know, I did a lot of competitions. I was never great. You know, I won some, lost some, but yeah, that was my beginning. That was, I was there till, I moved to Charlotte or our, Charlotte area in 2009. So about my first 5 years there.
The first 5 years there. So white to blue
to purple. Yeah. I got my blue and my purple belt under, Dave Jacobs and Mario and Fernando Yamasaki. So, yeah, both of those belts, I was like, man, I'm not ready for this, you know,
Yeah.
But I was training, you know, looking back, you know, I was training so much more, and I was, of course, Jeff knows, I had so much more energy then, you know, because shoot, I don't even know how old I was. It must have been 24, 25. I can't do the math, but yeah, man, I just had so much energy now. If I trained like I did then, I wouldn't be able to walk right now, but I'd be waking up and I look back, I'm like, I have no idea how I woke up at, 5:30 to go to teach kids every day at an elementary school, not jiu-jitsu.
Sure.
And just, I don't know how I got out of bed sometimes. Cause and we would train for like, class would be like 2 hours and we'd roll for another hour to an hour and a half, and like, I look back, I'm like, how did I do that? The body's a crazy thing, but
sounds like heaven to me.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Are you going to 5:30?
No, not that part. Not that. I was talking about the training 2 hours and then another hour and a half.
I miss it though, man. I miss that kind of lifestyle,
Sure.
It's good, but
yeah. So you were talking earlier when we were kind of discussing things, and in that you guys up in Northern Virginia, especially back in that time, it was more of a competition school, not necessarily a self-defense school. And we kind of see today the transition. There's still obviously competition schools out there that's all they do, and that's great, But there are a lot more now self-defense that also do competition, much like our academy where we're at. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know any of the self-defense stuff. I saw some of the old, Gracie, videos and stuff like that. And, I was somewhat familiar with the self-defense moves, but we just never went over, Yamasaki Academy was never really, and even the other schools up there. Now I know Capital Jiu-Jitsu actually is part of the Royce Gracie Network, and that was up there, and I knew some of those guys. But like, the Lloyd Irvin schools and that, they very much sport focused. And
world champions out of there.
Oh yeah,
sure.
yeah. There's some studs for sure out of all those schools. Even Capital, I know a couple of really, really tough guys from there. But
sure.
when you train at other schools, you're not getting together and really working on self-defense stuff. So, but yeah, I love the self-defense, but it has been a little bit difficult for me in the last few years just because I was so, I'd never really worked on the self-defense, and it's almost like we're saying it's almost like a different martial art. And
well, you're a white belt at self-defense.
Oh, for sure.
You don't do self-defense
for sure.
until you're a purple belt.
You're
right?
correct. You're correct. Yeah. And some of the stuff does transfer.
Sure.
As far as just the ideas and the concepts, and certainly some of the ground ideas. But it's definitely different. It's been great though, because just seeing like where you lacked in technical skills, which I see that all the time. I'm like, man, I'm terribly technically in this area sometimes. So it's been good. I think it's made me much more well-rounded, even at my job, having to be physical at my job sometimes. And
just for the audience out there, Luke is a detective in the law enforcement agency in Charlotte, PD. And so, we've got a lot of folks in law enforcement that train with us, and I think it's invaluable for you, Legs, all those people who are out there putting it online every day to get out there and have that additional training. Yeah,
absolutely. And even the self-defense has been like great for me, because I'm not gonna it's street, I hate to say street fight, but these scraps that you get into with the quote bad guys, you're not gonna sit there and you're not gonna pull guard, and you're not gonna even certain other things, you're not gonna do an Ezekiel choke and all, what I'm saying?
Yes.
This stand-up self-defense is gonna be way more valuable for what I do, for control techniques and things like that. Shoot, even as I don't do it as much now that I'm a detective, but I've had to. I don't know if I told you guys this or I showed you this video.
The security one?
Yeah, did I show you this one? Yeah, so this was a while back. This is probably close to a year ago, but I'm wearing, I'm in a shirt and tie, and like I just happened to be at this area where this kid had just stolen a car and all this, and so we're in a 7-Eleven, and I tell him to put tell him to put his hands behind his back. I get my handcuffs on, well, he starts bucking up and like trying to get out the door. And I'm like, don't do this, man. Don't do this. And he starts to turn around, and I just dump him right there in the middle of the 7-Eleven. Well, the floor's wet. and I'm trying to like get on his back, and I'm slipping because I got dress shoes on and all this stuff. And I'm on his back, but he's crawling out the front door, literally. So finally we both I'm still on his back. I finally get out the front door where we're on like concrete, and finally I can get my footing and kind of control, and finally got the handcuffs on and stuff. And another officer finally comes like, what are you doing? Yes, it happens. But anyway, all that to say, I mean, you never know when you're going to need this stuff, typically you think I'm going to shirt and tie. Like I'm not going to be needing to get physical with people, but it happens. You see these videos all the time where people are not thinking, you don't think you're going to get in a fight. You don't, and hopefully you don't,
Sure.
But as you guys know, the other thing is confidence, the confidence that you have, not cockiness or like looking to get in a fight, but like the confidence that you have just walking around, even with my family. Sometimes I'm like, I'm never worried that somebody's going to, I'm not like aloof, but I'm really never worried that I'm going to, get into a situation.
And the old saying, better to be a warrior in the garden than a gardener in the war.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So
from the transition to self-defense more than competition, do you think that's helped the school grow? Like, what did people used to come in for to try it out? Like, I feel like most people who come in are like, I'm interested in self-defense.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. It has. Yeah, when John and I kind of first started at the Taekwondo school over off of Old 16 there, we were getting people in, but I think your average, we got some really good people in there, and we had some really people get really good, and I won't name any names, but I can think of a couple. One name I will name, Bill Ziegler. He's over in Charlotte now. Mm-hmm. He started off with us. He's now a brown belt.
Sure.
And which just. It just makes me so happy to think that that he started off knowing absolutely nothing and came and has grown, and he's really good. I don't know if you've rolled with him before.
Absolutely,
he's really good.
Yes.
Super tough dude. But we would get like guys like that who really wanted to train, wanted to compete and roll, and but not everybody's like that. Shoot, I don't know that if I came in right now, at my age, that I would want to be like, and not knowing any jiu-jitsu,
Sure.
if I just came out and I didn't know anything, and I'm 40 now, if I just came in off the street and I'm like, hey, I want to kind of learn something, I don't know that I would want to, to get my butt kicked, the way we were kind of doing that every night.
Yeah, but it's the old school way of doing it, right? It keeps showing up, and if you get your butt kicked enough, then we'll teach you a little something.
Absolutely.
Right?
But as far as growth is concerned, like he was asking, I don't believe that's the best way that you're going to be able to grow a school, and I think it's proved itself. John's done an incredible job of kind of making that transition and making everything into one. Cause there are still, absolutely, there's three in this room right now that we do love to roll, we do love to amp it up, and, you guys have competed and things like that. So, there's definitely a place for that. But I think the best way for growth as far as a school is concerned is to get a nice mix of that, and I think John's done a really, really good job with that. So.
Well, I think it just goes to show that everybody does jiu-jitsu for their own reasons, and those reasons change all the time. I came into jiu-jitsu not for competition, not for self-defense. I wrestled. I wasn't worried about being accosted. Now, knowing what I know now, I probably should have been.
Yeah.
But it was just for fitness. Those goals have changed, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But there's a much smaller subset of those people who are just going to come in. Hey, I want to compete. That was what Phil wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
Phil wanted to compete. That's the whole reason he got into jiu-jitsu. And so, I think it's good to appeal to those larger masses, because it does give you an opportunity for those goals that you have to change. Right.
Oh, for
and
sure.
If you want to go from self-defense to, hey, I'm doing it for fitness, you're going to get that anyway, or hey, I want to go ahead and compete now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And the goal, I mean, what you say about goals changing, I mean, even my goals now are, I'm sure, are probably going to be, because I'm planning on doing this till I die, you know, and I'm sure in another 5-6 years, my goals will change again. You know, right now my goals are to teach my own children. You know, I have 3 kids who are involved in the program, and you know, I do it at home, but they're also learning, you know, on you know, from John and Charlie, but that, and then, you know, my job, you know, those are my main goals. And I do need to compete. I want to get back on to competing, and I should, and I know I need to, but my main goals really are for my job, to keep myself safe with my job. Cause really it's like, you know, and I don't mean to make it dramatic, but it really is, it's life and death, you know.
Sure.
If I don't,
of course it is,
you know, I need to have that in my pocket if I need it to possibly save my life. So that's obviously my biggest goal. But
not
you know,
only the training is life and death, but it also the mentality that
absolutely
jiu-jitsu gives you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, but those are my goals, you know, and I think, you know, and I'm sure you guys, you know, will kind of change. You know, you've said yours has already changed, and so yeah, that's awesome to see. You know, you see these, you know, I know you've lost a lot of weight. I've seen other people come into jiu-jitsu and just lose tons of weight, and then, you know, that weight falls off, and you're like, all right, what's your next goal? You know, and you keep on progressing, you keep on making new goals and accomplishing those and beating those. What's the next one? So that's a great, awesome thing about jiu-jitsu.
I want to go back to that because I have a friend also. His daughter used to train. She's big into hockey now, and both Chael and Rocky, they play sports baseball. I don't know if they play any other sports or not. But
yeah, Chael's a cross country. Yeah, he runs cross country. But
that's a great supplement to jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
But just you know, for the kids, for you know, that special mobility work that they need, that hand-eye coordination, whether it be baseball, whether it be ice hockey, not so much cross-country running, but also the endurance.
But the fitness absolutely. Yeah.
You know, what I love about you and your wife is that you guys have always made it a priority. You know, the kids are going to jiu-jitsu and they enjoy it. They love it. I mean, I see it in their eyes, but I just feel like that it's such a great supplement to whatever sport that they're doing to help them excel at that sport.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah. And you know, what you're saying about us, like, making it a priority, I really have had to do that with them, because like they love it when they're there, but like they're kids too. Now we do have a couple, you know, we got Christopher in there who you don't have to tell him to go. That kid's in there because he's just, but that's, you know, that's kind of an anomaly. Like that's not normal. Not yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You know, and my boys do like to go. You know, they choose to go many times, but there's also times that they're like, you know, like, okay, what do you want to do? Well, I want to, you know, play on my computer. No, well, we're going to class. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, and I've had to pick and choose my battles with that, because I also don't want to get them to get burned out with it, you know, with any jiu-jitsu or Muay Thai. And if they do, they do. I don't care. They're still going to go. But, you know,
you're the parent.
But yes. Yeah, exactly. But I really do. You know, I want them to. My goal for them is to, when they leave the house, you know, and shoot, I don't even like to think about that, but you know, when they leave the house, whether it be college or whatever else, I want them to continue in this, and I want them to want to continue. You know what I'm saying? So that's been a big thing for me, and trying to balance that with the fact they don't get burned out has been, you know, my main priority. But what you're saying about sports is absolutely, you know, other sports is absolutely huge. And it's a shame, because and I know John's seen this too, where you're like, oh, well, little Billy, and I'm making names up, but you know, little Billy's taking off, you know, he's got baseball season, or he's got, you know, he's going to be gone all summer. He's doing this. Well, why? You know, for what? You know, they're kids. They're not, you know, they're going to rebound quickly. They're going to wake up. They're not really going to feel sore, you know?
Right.
And you know, Rocky played in 2 different leagues. So like he was pretty busy, but I was still making him go, you know, at least once a week,
Sure.
You know, because, you get out of that. You guys know, you get out of something for, you get out of rolling and going to class for even a couple of weeks and you're like, dude, I feel off, so.
Both physically and mentally.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. But yeah, to answer that, question, there's no doubt that these types of things help, jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, all the things that those kids are doing are helping them develop other athletic skills. No, there's no question.
Yeah. I mean, I can't see any negative to doing that because your endurance is going to be better. And then there's a lot of weird body awareness that you're going to get that I never had before doing any of this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So Luke, I want to shift gears because both Phil and I, this is one of the longer stints I've had off the mat, and that's been since Monday. So it's going to be 6 days I'll be off. I sprained my MCL and trained with it for a couple of weeks, and then I was like, it's not, shocker, it's not getting better because I'm training on it. And Phil, he was doing 2 days before his competition, did his competition, and he's had some rib injuries and just nagging stuff that goes along with training 2 days and getting ready for competition, going extra hard and stuff like that. Talk about a little bit about, for our listeners, you've had some injuries over the years, right? And how you dealt with those injuries and what you did. And actually, John made a nice post about it the other day, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But I want to know how you kind of dealt with your knee surgeries and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I've had 2 knee surgeries. Let's see. They're both, I don't know, I can't even remember. I'm terrible with this kind of stuff. I guess I'm getting old. But yeah, I've had 2 knee surgeries, both within the last, 6-ish years. Mm-hmm. My first one, I guess it just, the way the meniscus is, if you have it's either lateral, I don't remember, but if you have this certain type of tear, and depending on your age too, they'll go in and repair it. But if they, which is good, of course, but if they repair it, then it's like twice as long for the recovery. Mm-hmm. So otherwise they just cut a part out, which you also don't want that because it's like
stability.
Yeah.
Suffers.
Well, that, and then, what that does, that meniscus is really just a cushion.
Yeah.
And when it comes out, we're talking some, at least bone on bone, arthritis and causes things like that. But anyway, but yeah, as far as how I fought through that, man, there was a couple nights that I was in my gi on the mat, literally hobbling around. I would not recommend that, but and I wasn't rolling, of course, hard or anything, but shoot, man, I was in there, and you're talking about John's post, and like, I think that's, he was talking about somebody else getting in there and watching, but like you talked about them mentally, one of the ways you can fight that off when you're not there mentally, at least, is being around it, watching classes. And I'm, I wouldn't recommend getting on YouTube all the time, but the bottom line is there is some good stuff on YouTube as far as whatever it is you want. Passing.
Well, if you get a reputable YouTube,
absolutely, yeah, somebody that you trust, or I own dozens and dozens of reputable DVD people who put out DVDs and things like that. So those can be helpful in those times. But getting in class, doing what you can, and when you're off the mats, like I worked super, super hard both times on rehab, whereas if I didn't have jiu-jitsu, I probably wouldn't have, I might've been kind of lazy with it. Like, it'll heal itself eventually. But I wanted to be 100% as soon as I possibly could. And it's tough, sometimes you push a little too hard and you pop something back and you're like, dude, that was dumb. I shouldn't, but yeah, I mean, really, I just listen to my doctors, and I really, outside of staying off the mats, I really did what they told. I'm really referring more to like the rehab stuff, but
sure.
I was religious about going to those sessions and doing the ice or whatever, exercises, stretching, they always give you like these certain specific stretches to do. And man, I was killing those stretches. So
how long did that like affect you? Were you dealing with it?
So the first one, I was probably out like 100%, like from start to finish.
Sure, yeah.
Man, till I was 100%, it was probably 9 months.
Wow.
I mean, I'm talking 100%. Like,
Yeah, but
I can do a double leg takedown. I can, you know what I'm saying? Because like that was like one of the big things, or like guard stuff. Because like before I had the surgery, how I even knew it was a problem is besides the pain, is my knee was like clicking, like it was like it was off. It was just off. Like I would try to cut through the guard knee cut, and like my whole body would freeze up because it would just catch, and I couldn't do it, and it was crazy. But yeah, I mean, honestly, 100% from like the start of the surgery till I was 100% was probably 8 or 9 months. Now the second one was a lot shorter because it was a different type of tear, and I would say that one was closer to like 3 or 4 months. But
So just an arthroscopic repair? Or?
yes, yeah, they went in there and did snip a piece out on the second one, so it wasn't terrible. But
And talking about that, this week, I haven't been in to class, but I did get out my dust off the old John Danaher Enter the System. I got the Kimura series, and I've got the leg lock series, and they're both like 16 hours each.
holy cow!
Yeah, I know. Folks, he goes into a lot of details.
Oh, I bet.
On everything, and it's great because the theme really drills. I've said it before. I'm a big conceptual learner, and it really drills in the concepts. He's got 3 concepts with the Kimura. He's got 3 concepts with the leg lock system. Then he goes over and over with those concepts so that you can't forget them. And so I've been kind of doing that that additional exploration in that manner. And again, previously I would just go in and watch class or help with the kids or anything of that nature. But yeah, I think it's important that you don't become disconnected, because you share the camaraderie with all your training partners too, that you're there with each and every day. So it's always nice to see them. Phil, you got anything to add on that?
Yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm just taking the entire week off.
You're just playing Call of Duty, right?
Are you injured now, or?
A lot of things were sore. My ear just kept breaking. Like the left one now just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And it's starting to feel pretty hard at this point. So I think I'm just going to take the rest of the week off, and then I'll just be back in Monday. But yeah, it's just annoying. Like this one?
Yeah, it's looking gnarly.
Why don't you just chop it off, Phil? It doesn't look like you got an ear hole at all in there.
No, it's annoying, So I figured if I didn't,
it's looking gnarly.
When I took a week off for this one, it got hard, and I was like done dealing with it. This one didn't hurt as bad, but it was still annoying.
Did you go to the doctor, or no?
No.
Okay. So
yes, Rich.
YouTube.
Did you guys drain it yourself?
I did it myself. Yeah.
Oh, was it painful?
It's
not too bad.
No, it's not that bad. It's worse actually, like when you try to sleep on it.
Yeah,
it's annoying.
We've had a couple guys go to the doctor and actually like get the and they'll come in with the
head gear.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, Phil's got delicate ears, so it wouldn't really matter. His whole system is very delicate.
I would have to wear it all the time forever. I've given up on the ears, but I'm hoping a week will let it kind of harden up. The rest of it, though, is just like my chest would feel like tired. I have no other way to describe it. Like, it doesn't hurt all the time, but like I would get somebody who weighs like 120 pounds be in side control, and it would feel like legs, knee on belly.
Yeah.
So I just think
which is horrible, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there probably is some bruising in there. I mean, even though you may not see it on your skin, I'm sure that, there's some probably internal stuff.
While I'm rolling, I'm fine. And then I go to like back out and I'm like, oh,
yeah.
Like, that's terrible. Like if I try to leave the parking lot, I can't turn around.
Yeah. Knock on wood. I've never had any of those like serious rib things. I know a lot of guys who have, and those, I know they can be really, really painful.
Yeah. I think it was more like the muscles that like wrap it, like a rib itself, but I don't know. So we'll see. I'll be back probably Monday morning to try it out.
Not Sunday rolls?
No.
Okay. All right. So Luke, shifting topics. What I want to hear, because man, I would love to do the trip that you just did, and that's the trip to. Well, it was this year, the Royce Network training, and it was in Oklahoma City. It's been in California. It's been in Miami. It's it changed. I think it changes every year.
Yeah. I mean, from. Pretty much, yeah. I mean, I know several years they've had it in Miami, but yeah, the last couple of years, it's, they're changing locations. Yeah.
What was that experience like being there with so many high level, and just for the listeners at Hoist, training is when they do the black belt testing, each year. I think they do it once a year, right?
Yeah, once
around this time of year. And it's where you do your black belt testing. And also shout out to Dante Herrera, who, when I was in Northern Virginia working, he was Capital MMA, one of their brown belts, and he got his black belt at the the training, as well as Nick Spirito, obviously on our team. But take us a little through that experience and what you experienced whenever you were.
I didn't test this year. My plan, I've been pushing off. I finally just buckled down and said I'm going to do it this year. But I did not test this year. I didn't go in planning to test or anything. But yeah, I've been a couple of times. I went a few years ago to Miami. This year it was in Oklahoma City, and it was cool. It was obviously my Oklahoma City and Miami are very different cities. Yeah. But besides that, there was a lot of differences. But yeah, it's a really cool thing. It's 2 or 3 days of several sessions of both, ground techniques and self-defense. Always gives like a seminar, of course, near the end of the weekend. And then they do a ceremony for everybody who passes, and basically it's just dozens of brown belts doing their tests. Obviously those numbers vary every year depending on who wants to step up and do it. But, it's really kept under wraps, like exactly what the test is, and I think they threaten those guys like within an inch of their life if they even tell us, like anything about it. But basically, they do tell you, hey, know every stand-up self-defense technique there is. And then of course, also on the ground stuff, I don't know how deep it is, but I know there's a lot of striking involved because there's guys that come out bloody and you can their faces are all beat up, you can tell, and there's some super tough dudes in there that come out, you're like, man, this guy got rocked, and this is no offense to Nick, but Nick was pretty beat up.
Yeah, he had that nice shiner on afterwards. Yeah.
And a lot of it is a mental thing. Again, I don't know much about it, but as far as the test is concerned, I think a lot of it is mental. I mean, he came out and he was like, I failed, he's like, they failed. Now, I don't know if they told him he failed and then they were just messing with him to see how he would like react, if he was going to like storm out of there, pissed off or what, but yeah, I really legitimately believe that he thought he failed for at least for a little while after.
Sure.
Maybe as the next couple of days, he was closer to the beginnings, so and that's the other thing, like, they do these testings over like basically 3 days. So like you could be at the very beginning and have to wait 3 days to see if you actually got your black belt, or shoot, you could go like 2 hours before the black belt ceremony and have to like wait, like, oh my gosh, I have to wait like 3 days to even do my test. Like, I don't know what I'm going to want next year. I mean, you don't have a choice, really. It's not like you sign up for a time. They just tell you, but
I would like the first day, please, around noon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I don't know what's worse. I don't know if it's worse to wait. Like, I think, just knowing me, I think I'd rather just get it out of the way. Yeah.
But waiting 3 days a week.
But you might want to wait until they're a little bit tired, beating all the rest of them up.
I'm pretty sure these guys don't get tired. And there's so many, there's 50 black belts back there, and we're talking, some of them are MMA fighters. And I mean, it's intimidating, man. It's funny. Like, Nick came out and everybody's, and they do it in this back room and they try to make it kind of like, so nobody really can hear what's going on. Obviously you can see they're not going to let you see what's going on, but there was a room out that everyone's kind of getting warmed up, working on their techniques and last minute adjustments, things like that, making sure you remember everything. And there was right before Nick went in, they're kind of getting him warmed up and everything and ready to go. And there's a couple other brown belts, and it's usually, it varies from like 25 to maybe 35, 40 minutes each test. And there's a couple guys warming up, and they weren't like screwing around or anything, but they were just kind of lighthearted, like warming up, getting last second, fixes. And Nick comes out and he's bloody, beat up, and he's
heard faint screams in there the whole time.
Man. And you should have seen these guys' face. I mean, like, I mean, even me, I wasn't even taking the test, and I'm like, I can't imagine what my face looked like, you know. And the guys that were taking these other brown belts who were going in after him, like it almost looked like they wanted to quit. Like I'm not going back. Yeah, I'm not going back there. It was it's funny now looking back. Talk to me next year. I won't think it's funny, of course, but like, you know what I'm saying? But like, it was a crazy thing. I mean, there's 3 or 4 of them, and their faces were just like ghosts. You know?
Yeah.
Because there were some other guys that had come out, you know, in the previous couple of days, and at least I didn't see anybody that bad. I don't know if they took it hard. I don't know what it was, but they put it on him.
Nobody was coming out of the room laughing.
Oh, absolutely. No. Absolutely
There's
not.
Nobody coming out like that.
But for sure, you know, there's varying degrees of, you know, I don't even know what the word is, but yeah, definitely not abuse. But no, exactly. I mean, you know, so, and I've heard from different people, it's a different test for different people, you know. If you're a 22-year-old, you know, and shoot, Royce's son got his black belt, and I think he's this year, and I think he's 22 or 23. You know, and he's had like 3 or 4 MMA fights too. It's a different test. And I'm not saying the technique, they're not looking for different techniques. I don't think that's the case, but it's going to be different than you know, there was a 60-something-year-old guy that went in there and did that. So it's going to be a different, and again, this is only things I've been told. I don't know all the details because it's really hush-hush, but you know, it's a different test for different people. So.
Well, and I would think too, you know, they're looking, and again, I don't know anything about this, but just from what I've, you know, thought about, I would think that they're trying to push them to their limits and
absolutely,
beyond.
Absolutely.
And that's different for a 22-year-old than it is for a 60-year-old.
You are correct. You are correct.
So there's different limits.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's super interesting. But aside from the black belt testing, what was your funnest training moment? Like what really stuck out? It might have been a Hoyler or a Hoist seminar or one of the training partners you got to roll with or anything like that.
You would think it would be a Hoyler or a Hoist, which they were great. I would never take anything away from them, but Letitia Barrow was there. She's 11-time, 10-time world champion. I don't remember.
Yeah.
And her stuff was great, man. It really was awesome.
Nice.
And I actually got to help her out she used me as like the dummy, and I really did look like a dummy a couple times. She was like, "Don't do this," you know. But, I mean, she was really cool. But you know, that was probably my favorite seminar of the weekend was hers. It was more like sport related stuff. Of course,
Yeah.
Now I know she does practice the stand-up self-defense. In fact, she's got a video with her going through a lot of that stuff with, I don't know if it's Euler or not, but anyway, that was probably my favorite one.
Yeah, so. If your last name's Barrow, you're probably pretty good at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. But it's just so awesome seeing so many high level, because it's mostly brown and black belts. There are a few scattered, you know, blue and purples mixed throughout, but just seeing so many tough dudes there and girls there that are training all together. Just, you know, getting to train it in that atmosphere is really, really cool. And hopefully you guys get to go out there sometime, and it's really great.
Oh yeah. So. I would go out there anytime.
Yeah.
But, you know, they reserve it for the upper belt. So I have a few years. That'll be all right.
Yeah. One day though, it's super cool. And everybody's so nice, you know, I can't think in the couple times that I've gone of anybody who's kind of been like, man, that guy's a jerk, you know. It's just, and I think that's probably so, you know, I think they really weed those type of clowns out of there.
They're
you know
not testing for their black belt if they're jerks.
No,
not in this system.
Hoist and shoot, I mean, Steve and John, they don't put up with that stuff, you know.
Yeah.
They usually, those type of guys, and we've seen that a little bit at our school, not a lot. You know, we've got great people, but
sure,
you know, you get a clown in there every once in a while. Most of the time, they weed themselves out.
Of course.
So,
you know, it also from this aspect, what I'm thinking of is that, you know, you're one of the upper belts at our academy, and it's got to be nice to go and challenge yourself against someone who is of your same or higher skill level, you know, because you don't get that a whole lot, you know, other than John and Legs and
not all the time.
You know,
you know, there's I've I love rolling people who can kick my butt, you know, which is a lot of people out there. I'm not saying that, you know, shoot, you know, even just go, excuse me, even just going to Charlotte, you know, that there's a lot more brown belts and shooting out black belts there now. So even that is cool. But yeah, it's good. You know, you got to have a mix. You got to have a mix of all three, really. People who are not as good as you that you can kind of test things out, and smoking through them is not going to really help you, you know, but trying things that you would ordinarily not get to try. People who are on your same level that, you know, you can battle back and forth with, and you know, you get a little bit of him, he gets a little bit of you, etc. And then going against guys who just smoke right through you like you're not there, you know.
Right.
You got to have all three of those, you know, in my opinion. And I know there's varying ideas of what the best way to get good is, but in my opinion, being able to go against all three of those levels is key. So
that was one of my questions for John. Is like, you're always the best person in the room. What do you do to get better? How do you, you know? For me, it seems like I get the most out of when people are much better than me, and that's where I can see the incremental, you know, improvements.
Yeah, it depends on what you're trying to do too. Like I know back when I was competing more, I really tried to go against people who were better than me because you want to make it easier for yourself when you actually do get out there to compete. Yeah. And that seemed to work for me. But you know, again, it just all goes back to those goals we were talking about before. You know, like, what is your goal? You know, and if you only go against people who are better than you now. Shoot, when you come in as a white belt, you don't have a choice. Everybody's better than you.
That's all you're
know.
Getting, yeah.
But later on, you know, you do have more. I hate to say a choice, but you do have more of a balance there where you can go against all three levels: people who are better, people who are on the same level, and people who are not as good as you. But yeah, I mean, I think typically, if you want to get better and better quickly, you have to go against, continue to challenge yourself. There's a lot, you know, at my age, you know, the thing that goes into that is kind of what we were talking about before. It's just about the injuries. You know, if I constantly go against people who are better than me or more bigger, not necessarily better, but bigger than me constantly, you know, that's I've had to scale that back in the last couple of years. I mean, sometimes I would just tell people like, no, dude, I'm not going with you. You know? Yeah. And it's not because I don't like them or I'm scared of anything. It's just like, if I go with a guy who's 300 pounds, who I've rolled with before, you know,
sure,
I'm gonna end up getting hurt, you know, and I'm not saying they're dirty or try to hurt me. It's just like, you know, it's just that's kind of my reality right now. So,
tough.
Yeah.
Well, and you have to be selfish with your training too. Sometimes
you do.
You have to,
you do.
You know, you have to. No one should take offense if you say, no, I'm sitting out this role. You know, nobody should take offense to that. But you also have to make sure that you know, your training partners know if you're injured or anything of that nature. And I want to go back to that, saying training with people who aren't as high skill level, same skill level, and higher skill level. You know, I think it was on the BJJ Brick podcast where they were talking about this, and they were saying it's important for you to have that lower skill level person, because you try your C game out, you know, that's how you get better at the techniques and tighten those techniques up, and then you can move it up to those people that are on the same level as you. And if it works with that, then boom, try it on the people who are higher level than you. And conversely, on that higher level, when you're going with them, is to make sure that your defense is on point and you're able to defend those attacks and see the situations that you're getting baited into or getting put into whenever you're training. So I think you're spot on that.
Yeah, no doubt.
Philly, anything else from you? You've been very quiet.
Okay. How's your balance gone? Like, we talked about this a little bit. I don't remember when. It was in Charlotte. But you were talking about trying to figure out the balance between kids, work, training. So I think you train like 3 days a week? Yeah,
typically. I try to do 3. Shoot, I'd love to do more, you know. And I am, you know, again, my goal for this from now until next October is to push it to closer to 4, especially with adding a little bit more stand-up self-defense. You know, quite a few of the other brown belts are planning on testing too. So that's kind of a good thing. But anyway, yeah, balance is is just, you know, it's like you were saying before about the kids, like you got to make it a priority for yourself too. You know, if, you know, there's only a certain amount of hours in a day and hours in a week, you know, and, you know, if you don't prioritize those things, you're not going to train, you know, you guys see this, you know, people come in and they start off strong and they get out and then they leave, you know, oh, well, I have this. And it's just, some people just always have an excuse no matter what, right. You know, and that's fine. You know, I'm not going to tell them what to prioritize in their life, but at the same time, don't say that, you know, you want to get better. I've had to say that to myself sometimes. I've had to say to myself, you know, hey, jiu-jitsu can't be as important right now as I would like it to be, you know, just because my kids are involved in this or my career is doing this. But, you know, now I'm at the point in my life where, you know, I've been training and I have had some whatever, but it's no excuse, you know. I've been training since, you know, for about 14, 15 years now, and I should be a black belt. I'm not saying I should be in the sense that like I deserve it, because I don't, you know, but as long as I have been training and things like that, it's on me. And you know, quite frankly, I'm a little embarrassed, and only in the sense that I know that I could and should, you know, put forth more effort than I have, because I mean there's guys who I trained with at Yamasaki who started, you know, 6 months, a year after me, who have had their black belts for 3 years, you know.
Sure.
And, you know, listen, we all have different paths, so I'm incredibly happy for them. I'm not saying they didn't deserve it or anything like that, so don't hear me wrong, but yeah, I just feel like it's time for me to really push on to the next level, and that doesn't, I mean, that honestly includes more than just the stand-up self-defense. There's parts of my ground that are just not where they should be, you know. Sure. So, you know, all that being said, like, now is the time, and I had a talk with my wife, and I'm just like, look, this is going to happen, so I'm going to have to be a little bit more selfish this year. And it was just kind of an understanding, you know, which is cool. We've been married a while, so I think she just appreciates me making that, you know,
having that
communication, using the communication. And, you know, it's not just like I didn't say anything to her about it. I'm just like, all right, I'm out of here, you know? But so she was cool with it. So now it's my responsibility to actually just go ahead and do it. So to answer your question, the balance is going to be a little bit more unbalanced, I hope, than it has been in the last couple of years. So it's tough, you know, like, having 3 kids at the ages they are, like, they're so involved with so many different things. Like, I don't want to be a deadbeat dad, you know. They're my most important thing on this planet. So sure. More than jiu-jitsu, and I know it seems weird to say, but, like, you know, more than jiu-jitsu or anything else. Like, so if they want to be involved in something, you know, it's, you know, that takes priority. Now, again, one more time, you know, this year it's going to be a little bit less, and we're going to have to maybe put some of their things aside, but
shift that a little bit. Yeah,
just a little bit. Yeah.
Of course.
I just like to ask, because we talk about training schedules and what we're going to do and what our goals are a lot, but we have just a different situation than I think the majority of the people who train have.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, and it's cool, man. I mean, that's another thing that makes jiu-jitsu so great. Like, you got people who are training 5-6 times a week, you know, and you got people who are training once a week, and it's, you know, it doesn't make them a better person. It doesn't make them worse. It's just, we all have priorities, and we're all responsible for our own careers and our, you know, our paying our own bills and being the type of person we want to be as far as a father or a boyfriend or girlfriend, husband, whatever it might be. You know, we all have to answer for those. So, you know, balance is key, and playing with those percentages is going to be, you know, important for me in this next year, I think. So,
well, no, and that was awesome. Thanks for sharing all that with us. And, you know, I want to say in the next year, if you need any, you know, if you want to go in any additional training, man, I'm all about it. If you know, however I can help, just to be a dummy or whatever.
I appreciate that. I'm going to take you up on it.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to help.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Philly?
What else?
let's two things, right? We want to talk about the role model all women's camp. We've got an exclusive BJJ campaign coupon code, and that will get you 10% off. So all you ladies out there, they have some fantastic instructors that are going to be at the role model camp. That's May 1st through 3rd in Indianapolis, Indiana. Nikki Sullivan, Hillary Van Ornum, our jiu-jitsu parents, AJ and James Klingerman.
Obviously.
They're going to be there. So if you want to get and sign up quick, folks, because this is going to fill up quick. They've expanded it each and every year. I don't know how many they're taking this year. I think it was like 250 or something.
Sounds right.
Yeah. This year, and they restricted to like 100 last year. Then they bumped it up to 200 and
2 or 3 times.
Yeah, 2 or 3 times. So get in there, get that, put in your BJJ campaign is the code, and you get 10% off of that. Also, go ahead.
Was I talking to you or Brent about camps? Have you gone to jiu-jitsu camps?
I have not. I've gone to a couple of seminars that have been like 2 days, but I've never gone to like a camp. I would like to, and I probably should. I mean, I've been doing this so long. I should have, but I never did. And I know you guys have done a couple of those.
You should go to Origin with us next year.
I would love to.
Because that'll be right before your test. You get 8 days of 3 sessions a day jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I need to.
We got another one on board.
That would be really cool. Yeah, I know Landon was just like beaming when he came back. Yeah.
Landon went hard.
Like Landon may have won the camp championship in most training hours
trained,
a day.
Yeah, he went hard.
One time he came back, he was soaking wet with sweat, and it was like 12:30 at night. I'm like, you're still rolling.
Good for him, man.
Yeah,
good
no,
for
it's
him.
great. And your jiu-jitsu takes such a leap whenever you.
Yeah.
Or mine did anyway. So whenever you do that so consistently.
No doubt.
But so, yeah, we'll put you on the roster for next year for that, Luke. Also, we've got, thanks to our Vice President of Marketing and Business Development, Doug Schluter.
That's right.
We've got our Black Friday sale, folks. Get this. What is it? Tell them about the kitchen sink offer that we've got for Black Friday, Philly.
Hoodie, rash guard, patch, t-shirt. Everything
we sell, folks, $100. That's $173,000 value.
That's right.
It may be $120 value, maybe 130. I don't know. I didn't add them up, Phil. This is math that I didn't do.
That's okay.
But
it's a steal.
So get on there on Black Friday. Bam, you got the kitchen sink deal. It's a great deal. So get on there and support us there. How else can the folks support us, Phil?
Facebook, join the group, BJJ Campaign. BJJCampaignPodcast.com is where you can find all the deals. YouTube, Instagram. Missing one. That's okay.
YouTube, Instagram,
Bumble,
Facebook, yeah.
Bumble. For me now, yes.
Yeah. Kidding.
But yeah, and if you guys aren't out there doing something to make yourself better each and every day, get out there and do it. Me, Luke, Phil, we all choose jiu-jitsu. We hope you do too. This episode of the BJJ Campaign Podcast is brought to you by Speed Pro East Bay in Alameda, California, in the heart of the San Francisco Bay Area. They're the source for premium visual solutions to spruce up your interior space. From window decals and wall murals to conference room graphics and directional signage, create a work environment that is tailored to your brand. They'll not only print your custom graphics, but do installation as well. Visit eastbayspeedpro.com. That's EASTBAYSPEEDPRO.com. And mention the BJJ Campaign Podcast for 15% off your first order. Also, Eddie is a jiu-jitsu guy, so folks, go out there and support him.
I'm about to feed him to the sharks right now. Get him hype right now. Yeah. You know the ground is up. Yeah. Everybody that trains, you know the game. Yeah. So let's get it. Slap it up, bump it, and roll. Hey. Yeah, that's the way that it goes. Ain't no better way to better yourself in this game. You're feeling the growth. That's time on the mat. We put in the work. Believe it ain't easy, I know. But we train for the love of the game, the love of the art. Now slap it up, bump it, let's roll.